Alright, so people want to talk about tranny fluid and changing your transmission fluid and the transmissions. Now, this is not an EcoDiesel. This is a 68 RFE, and this is a built 68 RFE. Now, I already unscrewed the bolt and let a little bit of the fluid come out, but I just kind of want to show you that there's probably, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 miles on this transmission since the rebuild. Now, you're supposed to rebuild them every 25,000 miles, not rebuild them, my bad, change the transmission fluid every 25,000 miles on the rebuilt transmission. At least that's what's recommended by the guy that built mine. So if you look here, you can see the fluid is cherry red, and I'm trying not to make an absolute fucking mess here, so we'll see. That's not bad, but see that's proper transmission fluid right there. That's what your transmission fluid should look like when you change it, because you should be changing your transmission fluid while it's still good and not waiting for your transmission fluid to turn to complete shit. So I mean, look at that. This is Mopar ATF4, which is obviously really fucking expensive transmission fluid. I think that this, so if you use O'Reilly's store brand, O'Reilly's store brand ATF4 is actually Mobil 1's Mopar ATF4, which is only $5 a quart versus the Valvoline $8 or $9 or something. Otherwise, Walmart's Mopar 4 is like $4 a quart or some shit, or $5, whatever. It's super cheap. So this has the deep pan 68 RFE, which is nice because it holds an extra, I don't know, fucking 2 or 3 quarts, and it has a drain pan or drain plug. So what's cool is that even though the truck's at an angle right now, when I'm done draining it, we will put the plug back in and take the pan down, and I will just empty the pan and clean the pan out. So we're going to turn this because it's going to start dripping down the tranny. We'll clean the pan out and then change the filters. There's 2 of them, a regular one and a screw-on one, and you know, clean it all up and put it back together. I'm just happy. I was worried that when I got my truck back that the transmission fluid might be shit, because you know, I bought this truck back with only 3,000 miles put on it, and it had the original fuel filters on it that I had on it, and the oil and everything else. So, you know, it's nice to see that the tranny fluid is fucking immaculate, because I'll drain this down and I'll change it, and you know, away we go with clean trans fluid. You know, the rear end the guy replaced, so I don't really have to worry about the rear end, but that front differential up there, I busted a couple teeth off it, and I am worried that the dealership and nobody else turned the 4-wheel drive on and checked it. So if that's the case, that front differential needs to get replaced, because it's only good for, you know, moving a couple feet. You know, you get stuck and use it to move out or whatever. There's no way you'd be able to drive down the road in the middle of winter with it without completely fucking yourself and tearing the rest of it up. But as you can see, I mean, look at that. That's, you know, gorgeous, bright cherry red. And this is how your transmission should be every time you do a transmission flush. You know, and with the ZF transmission that you find in the Hemis and the EcoDiesels, it's a little bit different. The fluid's green. So if you get rid of the ZF fluid, you'll be down to a red fluid similar to this as well. I switched my EcoDiesel over to a red fluid that met specs. So, you know, this is it actually drains pretty fast. My understanding is that if you let it drain overnight, it'll drain out the most possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off this video here, and I'm just going to let this do its thing, because there's nothing I hate more than dropping a transmission pan and having tranny fluid fucking drip on you the entire time you are changing it. So I'll just let this do its thing. But, you know, like I said, this is definitely something that you guys should really pay attention to. Transmissions are expensive. The one thing I should have done, which I'll do later on, whatever, I'll have to add more fluid, is the thermostat right there. I'm going to do the RevMax bypass one, which will keep the tranny around 160 to 180 range all the time, even when pulling. It sucks a little bit in the winter because it's harder to get the transmission up to temp versus you know, when it's cold outside, things like that. But in the summer, it definitely fucking pays off to keep your transmission temps down. Keeping your transmission temps under 180 gives you the longest possible transmission fluid life. You know, you start breaking that 180 mark, and in every, you know, 10 or 20 degrees, your transmission fluid life decreases by like 3 to 5% faster. So it's definitely worth looking into. Also, with that being said, I don't know if you guys know anything about lifts, but if you do, let me know if those bump stops are stock, because I used to have a 7-inch lift in here, and if that's the case, that bump stop is way too fucking tall if it's not stock, and that's probably why my truck dances around a little bit when I hit bumps. That's definitely something I'm going to look into here today. But I'm going to sign off. Those of you with EcoDiesels that are waiting on files, I am working on files in between stuff here as well. So everybody have a good day.